says to the disciples, "There was a rich man who had a manager, and charges were brought to him that this man was squandering his property. So he summoned him and said to the manager, 'What is this that I hear about you? Give me an accounting of your management, because you cannot be my manager any longer.' Then the manager said to himself, 'What will I do now that my master is taking the position away from me? I am not strong enough to dig, and I'm ashamed to beg. I've decided to do so that when I am dismissed by the manager, people may welcome me in to their homes.' So summoning his master's debtors one by one, he asked the first, 'How much do you owe my master?' He answered, 100 drugs of olive oil. He said to him, 'Take your bill, sit down quickly, and make it 50. Then he asked another, 'How much do you owe?' He replied, 100 containers of wheat. He said to him, 'Take your bill, make it 80. And his master commended the dishonest steward because he had acted shrewdly. Jesus says, "The children of this age are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than are the children of light. And I tell you, make friends for yourself by means of dishonest wealth, so that when it is gone, they may welcome you into their eternal homes. Whoever is faithful in a very little is faithful also in much. And whoever is dishonest in a very little is dishonest also in much. If then you not have been faithful with the dishonest wealth, who will entrust with you true riches? And if you have not been faithful with what belongs to another, who will give you what is your own? No one can serve two masters, for they will either hate one and love the other, or be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth." The Gospel of the Lord. Several years ago, on this very same liturgical Sunday, I took the morning off because I had spent the better part of the week running the Synod Professional Leadership Conference, and I decided to attend Fourth Church. I was even more excited when I checked out the church's website and discovered that Dr. John Buchanan, whose preaching I think is superb, would not be there that Sunday, and we would be hearing Dr. Peter Gomes, the chaplain of Harvard Memorial Church. Dr. Buchanan would be there, but not preaching. The texts were exactly the same as this morning's, and I must honestly say that Dr. Gomes was absolutely baffled by them. He did not understand them at all, and admitted that fact not only from the pulpit, but also when Dr. Buchanan introduced him to me, and Dr. Gomes said, someone who was wise enough to take this Sunday off and leave this awful text for another. The sign of a good preacher is that even when he or she has popped up a sermon, or misses it by a mile, one is still left thinking about the subject. I could not get the story of the unsavory manager out of my head. And I kept wondering why Dr. Gomes could not get his substantial intellect around this simple tale of treachery. And then it dawned on me. Dr. Gomes is a professor at Harvard University who is endowment fund, even after losing 27.3% in fiscal 2009, still had 26 billion, that's billion with a B, remaining in it. If we had that kind of dough, our church council and school board meetings would be a whole lot shorter. If we had that kind of money, I bet that both our presiding bishop and our local bishop would be clamoring to join our faith community for their turn at the trough. If we had that tidy sum in the bank, we could forego passing the plate, and within seconds of that announcement, instantly become one of Chicago's largest churches. Gomes didn't understand today's gospel because he was a tenured Harvard professor, with a bestseller under his belt, dean of the chapel, and a nice guy. But nice a person as Dr. Gomes is, he does not run in the same social circles that we do. The steward in today's gospel is someone we can relate to because there have been times in all of our lives and the life of the church we call home where we have had to rob Peter to pay Paul. Or as my family used to say, take money from one pocket, put it in another, and call it a profit. We may even be in the same predicament that the manager was right now. And we have to sit back and admire him for what a cunning character he is. Almost every scholar I have read on this parable use the words like shocking, confusing, even weird. Actually, it's none of these things. It's ripped out of real life, especially real-life churches like ours who have to juggle the books in order to stay open. Anybody can manage a church when they are building subdivisions all around you and new people just show up at your door. But manage a church like ours takes a little gin and an equal amount of shrewdness.